You'll put that on YouTube. He does that, he's very naughty. Mm.
Tony, do you see in liberation the development of the normal reality, of the dream reality? Do you see any development?
No, I don't really see the dream. I hear about it. People tell me about the dream. I don't see it. I can hear somebody describing it, but I don't see it as real. It's obviously a dream.
Where do all the cars come from where you're driving?
There are nothing appearing as cars. Everything is just nothing appearing as what it seems to be. It's not part of the dream. You don't need a dream to have cars. You don't need a person to have cars. Cars just happen. You don't need anything for this to be. But what's added onto it by the individual is themselves. They add themselves onto this reality. And then that what they add on becomes like a monster. It's like something that takes over, and it seems that individual that they add on, that is added on, is the most important thing in the whole reality, whereas actually it's completely and utterly useless. The actually added individual is nothing, it's meaningless, but it becomes the most important thing in the whole. It's the greatest obsession in this reality is the dream of me. You don't need me for motor cars, fortunately. Especially Ferraris. No, there is only what there is, and what the seeker and the dream that adds to it is the dream.
So all the history is simply nonsense?
Of course, yeah. There's no history. It's a story. Dream story.
Sometimes it appears to me that last year you were not quite that radical.
Oh no. I've always said there is no time. Well, time is an appearance like everything else. This doesn't get more radical because it's nothing to do with this. There is no time in that sense. The apparent history is only another appearance, real and unknown. And it has no significance of any kind, except for the dream.
Thank you.
Then why did nature create this dreamer?
Well, nature didn't. Nature didn't create the dreamer. Nothing. The dreamer is nothing but appearing as a dreamer.
But it happens in the brain.
Yeah. It's
So
a
somewhere in the process of evolution, the whole spiel must have happened in the brain that we suddenly see the things.
But that's a story. Sorry. There is no, evolution is another appearance. And the sophistication of the brain, that it becomes sophisticated enough, as has recently been discovered, to artificially create a person, which then grows up and thinks it's real, is just another story. It's just another part of the appearance. It's not real. It's also not unreal. The problem for the seeker is that they actually think their world and evolution and their history and their story is actually important. That's the problem. That's the dilemma. The great dilemma is the me thinking that its dream is real.
It's something you can't believe.
Well, I don't mind about it. The individual can only believe that they are real and that they're dreaming. If they didn't feel they were real, they wouldn't be there. They feel they're real. The feeling is real because it's an energetic dream. So if that energetic dream suddenly collapses, that's the end. That's the end of that illusion. So they have to hold on to that energy of being real, otherwise they die. It's about survival. And part of that survival is to support the idea of the seriousness and meaningfulness of their history and their society, and really, really important. It supports me. It makes me feel I will continue. Even simply the structure of society and the history of my history, my story, helps me, supports me to continue. Otherwise I would die, I wouldn't exist anymore, because that's what gives me meaning. And the most effective way of all of those things for me to go on surviving is to seek enlightenment. Then I will continue, because I'll never find it. Or there's a knowing somewhere that will never be found. Therefore it's a continuous, ongoing search. It's utterly futile, but it keeps me going. I live in what's next. Like it's a drug. Me, it's a drug.
How would you answer a 2-year-old when it's asking his why questions?
Sorry, say that again.
When you have a 2-year-old at home, how would you they ask why is this steady and why is that?
I didn't hear any of that.
2 years, like a little toddler?
Well, that's hypothetical. There's no way of answering it. But all there is what there is. And if a 2-year-old happens to ask a question, there'll be a response.
Mm. So it would just happen.
Whatever happens, happens. Nobody does it. There's not a right or a wrong way to be. There's only being. Isn't that wonderful? The whole idea that there's a right way to be or not, it's just nonsense.
It's not only the fact that it happens, there is also the perception of the happening.
And both of them are appearance. There is nothing that is a fact. There's no fixed reality. There's nothing that's real.
Okay, but the perception also happens.
Yes, for the individual, they perceive what they think is real. They interpret what they see as being real. That's the problem. They think everything they see is real. So they don't see what there is. They see what they think, or what the brain interprets as being something that's real.
Okay, but if this organism would be a machine, a robot, just working, there wouldn't be a process in it that perceives that it works.
No, the dream, it's the dream
Here is something
that interprets what is. Yeah. It's the dreamer that interprets what is as being real. If there was no dream, there would just be what there is.
Okay, and I also can perceive the dreamer himself.
Right.
The dreamer appears as another object, doesn't it?
Well, yes, but there isn't anybody choosing the option. There's dreaming or there isn't.
Okay, I agree to that, but there is the perception of dreaming.
Out of the dreaming. The dreamer perceives what he thinks is real, is a reality. It's a dreamt reality. For the dreamer, it feels as though it's real. There is a real tree. And simple. And I have a real history. I mean, this man's saying there's no history. I know I was a child. I've got photographs of me as a child. So I was real, a real child. And I grew up, I really did grow up, and now I'm sitting here and this is real. That's the dilemma. You see, what we're talking about actually is not that unfamiliar. What we're talking about here, we're coming right to the absolute, which is everything anyway. And actually all that we're talking about here is in all of the Gospels and the Scriptures and all of the Holy, or hidden in there. It's all hidden in there. It's just that it's overlaid by the mind's interpretation of the Gospels and the Scriptures, which it relates to as a teaching of becoming. So the mind, the seeking mind, turns the Gospels and the Scriptures, all of them, into a teaching, into a discipline, into a path, all into a what's next. All Scriptures are converted into what's next. What's hidden in them isn't seen. They can't be seen, which is all we're actually talking about here. There is no time. There is no time, space, history are all simply the appearance of the infinite in Scripture or divine terms. All there is in this room is the infinite. This is the infinite. That's all it is. It needs nothing. It's complete. Always complete.
I don't know who said.
Seems to go off.
I don't know who said. I think it was Paul. He said, "I live, but not I. The Christ within me liveth,"
Yeah.
which is an expression of.
In a way it is, yes. He said an awful lot of awful things as well. That got near to. I mean, the Gospel.
The things that are.
Yeah, but he was very prescriptive, Paul, wasn't he? But you know, the Gospel of St. Thomas is also a wonderful expression of what we're talking about here. It's never been accepted because it was too mystical. It was too, nobody could comprehend it. But if you read the Gospel of St. Thomas, it's amazingly what we're talking about here.
If I understand it right, I mean, everything is happening, it's just that our perception of it is very egocentric.
Yes. And converts it into a me story. Because this energy, this apparently contracted energy is like a vacuum. It draws everything into itself. It's completely self-centered. And it sucks everything that's happening into it and turns it into a story in here which goes on reinforcing this. It's amazingly self-centered. Well, it is only self-centered. So,
I have a question.
and even spiritual endeavour in the end, of course, is, as far as the self is concerned, spiritual endeavour and effort to become better is actually in the own end self-seeking. It's totally materialistic. Somebody wants to...
Yeah, I wanted to say something. You said before that as long as the me is going, we stay. I'm using other words now, but as long as we have the me, we're living, and if we don't have it anymore, we'll be dying.
Well, the me thinks it will die. Yes, if the
Okay.
me goes on,
Okay.
goes on sucking all this in to keep itself continuing.
Yeah, but if this switch happens, like, I mean, you're still living. Otherwise, I would say, why didn't you just die?
No. It's only the dreamer that dies. It's the dreamer that is frightened of dying, so it goes on dreaming, and it feeds the dream continuously so that it will go on surviving.
Yeah.
Liberation is the sudden death of the dreamer, not the body.
Oh, okay.
The body
I
isn't.
misunderstood you, and I couldn't
Yeah.
understand that. Okay. Thank you.
Do you think there's a possibility that there is a sense to things, it's just not the sense that we think there is?
It depends what you mean by the sense of things, because everything that arises doesn't have any sense in that it doesn't have any meaning. But there is, everything is the energy of the